I believe. Yep, I believe we are live, my friend. Hi, everybody.
Live
Live.
on Christmas
Live.
Eve.
That's right. Christmas Eve. The night before Christmas. We're here live on YouTube. Give people a minute or two to file in here.
Mm-hmm.
Let me go ahead and I got the tweet should be going out. Gonna put a little post in our Discord. Let people come on in here, man.
Kind of wish this was Coco.
You know what? I thought about having some cocoa. I thought about it. My it's a little laborious to make like cocoa the right way because unless you're somebody who makes cocoa with water instead of milk,
Yeah.
and if you are, just get out of here with that. Honestly, cocoa with water, just honestly get out of here with that. Like if it's not milk, I'm sorry. I want nothing to do with it. Absolutely nothing to do with it. Hey Sam, it is indeed time to go all in, Sam. It is indeed. How you doing, man? Good to see ya. Good to see ya. Okay. Well, Sam's here. Hey, Josh Vaughn is here. What's up, dude? What's up, Josh Vaughn? Season's tidings. Season's tidings to you, my friend.
Sam, we need to jump into some more raids together, especially now that they got uh, the Delibird raids up, and there's a ton of Terra shards they're giving out for that event.
Oh yeah. Is it Delibird or is it the
Delibird
Iron
is this
Bundle?
weekend.
Okay.
It is actually Delibird. Delibird is this weekend. Cinderace is next weekend.
Okay. Interesting. Let me see what's happening here. Well, no, it still says everything's says good. Sam says good crawling out of my ranked match hole in Splatoon 3 by being a goo tuber. Oh god. Oh god. How's that going? It's so weird cuz it's telling me that I'm like dropping frames and stuff, but nothing looks all of my bitrate looks fine on my end and then
It's
I
just
don't
figuring
know.
out your new camera.
Maybe, I don't know. Let me know if there's anything like weird on YouTube side, guys. Let me know if there's any like lag or anything like that. It's telling me I'm dropping frames, but like it doesn't look like I should be. Like my bitrate looks totally fine. I can lower it if I need to. So let me know, guys. Let me know what's going on before we get started. I would hate to give you a choppy stream. Josh Vaughn playing Chicory right now. It went on sale and I was in the mood for something chill. Great choice, Josh Vaughn.
Is good game.
Josh Vaughn says no lag that I'm noticing. All right. It could just be OBS. I don't know. It's weird. Like it's acting like I'm dropping frames like crazy, but my bitrate seems totally fine. I don't know. So weird.
Yeah,
Sam,
Chicory came out right around this time last year and completely threw our
oh
golden
yeah,
aces
big
just
time.
completely into a whirlwind.
Big time. It like completely messed everything up. Let me see. I mean, if
What a
it's good
cool
enough
game,
for
though.
oh, it's a very cool game. If it's good enough for Josh Vaughn, it's good enough for me.
It's been a full year since that released on the Switch. I am astounded we haven't heard anything about a physical release yet.
Right? That is weird. I kind of assumed that Fangamer would pick it up or something like that.
I assume somebody would
But
by this point. Like, how has nobody announced that yet? The only thing I could possibly think is that Greg has some big update in the works they're not ready to announce yet that's going to wind
maybe.
up being on cart. That's the only thing I can think of. The thing is we've already seen at least the character
Right.
from Greg's next game that they're already working on. So, I don't know. Give me
Hmm.
the physical, Greg. We will buy it. I
Oh
mean,
yeah.
I know they're thinking about physical stuff. I just bought the Bard plush a couple days ago. So, they're working on physical merch and physical stuff for their game. So
Let me restart the stream, guys, cuz it's I don't know. I don't know. Okay.
Whew.
We're back. Let's see how this goes. I think we're back. Hi everybody. Are we back? Let me know. I think we're back. All I did was I adjusted the bit rate. But I think it's not saying I'm dropping any frames anymore. It's take two. We did it takes two, and now it's take two. That's right. So let me know. Let me know if everything seems okay now. Everything seems better on my end now. Yeah, we're back. Okay, cool. Yeah, I literally just dropped the bit rate very minimally, and it seems to have fixed it. I don't know, man. I just work here. So
YouTube's like, I don't like change. Why'd you get a new camera?
I don't know. I don't know if that has anything to do. It might be. I don't know. This is the first time I've streamed anything with this new camera, so maybe it is that. I don't know. But in any case, I don't see myself dropping any frames anymore. Everybody says we're back, so good enough for me. What do you say we get the show started, everybody?
I am down.
Let's do it. We will
Merry
roll
Christmas,
this intro.
everybody. Let's do this.
Yeah, and we will see you on the other side. Everybody, we are back. We're here. It's it's weird because we're sitting here recording live on youtube.com/allinpodcast the night before Christmas, but then the podcast itself goes live the night before Christmas. So whatever time vortex you're living in currently,
happy holiday weekend, everyone. That's what he means
right.
to say.
That's right. Happy holiday weekend, Eric. If we can talk about the holidays a little bit just before we get started. I did want to share with everybody,
Happy Hanukkah, my friend.
My family celebrates Hanukkah. I just wanted to share, my wife cleaned up at Dreidel this weekend, and this is Gelt. Anybody who's watching on YouTube right now, this is Gelt, and essentially it's a chocolate coin. It's basically a chocolate coin that is wrapped in like gold foil. And we must have came away. This is just 3 of them that I have here in my office right now. But dude, she cleaned up. She took my family for like all the gelt they had, dude. It was a massacre. We have got a sack full of gelt in our kitchen right now. It's ridiculous.
Like that John Wick assassin currency of chocolate.
My god. She's crazy. Like she is like so hyper competitive that like Dreidel is a completely luck-based game. For anybody who hasn't played it, you just spin a top and then it lands, and it's like a betting thing. Everybody gets a set amount of gelt, and you either skip your turn, put money in the pot, or take half the pot, or take the whole pot. And anyway, TLDR, we wound up with a lot of gelt, so we got chocolate for days, if nothing else.
Nice. You're rich.
I'm rich. I'm rich in fake chocolate coins, if nothing else. Fake.
You're
Jewish
wealthy.
Chocolate.
One might even say gelthy.
That's right. Gelty, which kind of sounds like guilty, I guess. I am beset with gelt tonight here on youtube.com/allinpodcast. Shout outs to everybody watching us live. We love and appreciate you. We do this every Friday night, live at 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern, even during holiday weekends. So shout outs to everybody hanging out with us live right now. We love and appreciate you. We also love and appreciate, Eric, our patrons.
We do.
Our patrons.
We do. And, at some point in the next 80 years, we will get you all a wonderful holiday gift.
True.
Actually, no joking. All joking aside, we do actually have some pretty cool stuff.
Yes, we do.
Lined up for our patrons, especially in the very near future.
Yes, we do. We are going to be doing the Golden Aces here in just a couple of weeks. That's happening at this time, 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern on Wednesday, January 4th. You're not going to want to miss that stream, folks. So, but anyway, I do want to thank the people who make it all happen, the patrons at patreon.com/allinpodcast. We love to shout out our Golden Banana Bunch and our Triforce tier supporters from there. So, starting with our Golden Banana Bunch, I actually want to start with a brand new Golden Banana tier patron. Our good friend Liam D. That's Liam Davenport, one of the co-hosts of the Retro Groove podcast. Liam, just this past week, signed up at the Golden Banana tier. So, hey, welcome to the Patreon army, Liam. Welcome to the
Tip
Golden
of the
Banana
Cocoa
Bunch.
Cup to you.
That's
I wish
right.
This was Cocoa.
Yeah, this is an empty cup that once is an empty a short hike mug that once had coffee in it, and there you go. Tip of that to you, Liam. Thank you very much, my friend. Liam's a great guy, a great friend, and a wonderful longtime supporter. Now in the Patreon brigade, and whatever can I call it? I can call it a Patreon army, a Golden Banana Bunch, a brigade, whatever metaphors you want to have for it. We'll keep
The
that
all-in
going.
army.
That's right, the All In Army. So thanks so much for your support, Liam. Greatly, greatly appreciate that. Welcome to the Golden Banana Bunch. But moving on to the rest of them, we've got longtime friend and supporter Rob Yapel. We've got Sam, third strongest mole, who's live in the YouTube chat right now. Hi, Sam. Love you very much, Sam. We've got Sean O'Baggins Ashton, Tim A, aka Neoprime33, aka Nintendo Dad number 4, Matt, Shy Guy City Murray, Drew Agnew, the handsome host of the House Mario podcast, Phelan
So
Ward,
handsome.
the also handsome host of the Damage Counter Pokemon Trading Card Game podcast, Bill Tucker, the also handsome host of the Gamer Looks at 40 podcast, and Marcus O'Neill, also very handsome man. Love you, Marcus.
Body positivity for the win.
That's right, dude. That's right. Marcus, if anybody has a reason to be body positive, Marcus O'Neill, a very prolific runner and very athletic dude. That's a really athletic guy. He's like always running and working out, and yeah, awesome guy.
See, I've spent more than my fair share of time in the gym. I've spent more than my fair share. I mean, I was in the army. You guys all know. I hate running. So all you runners, you can keep that. If you want me to go to the gym with you, you want me to get on ellipticals or exercise bike, you want me to be your gym, I'm down. The
Right.
second you say, let's go running, I'm out.
Right.
I'm out.
Robbie Bobby Miller here in the YouTube live chat says gorgeous. And he's right. He's right. Marcus O'Neill, gorgeous man. Hi, Robbie Bobby Miller. Great to see you, my friend. But let's talk about our Triforce tier supporters. Da-na-na-na. Josh Vaughn, who is also, shoutouts to Josh, who's tuning in, I think maybe for the first time to one of our live news broadcasts. Josh Vaughn, one of our Triforce tier supporters here in the chat. John Cummins, Datfast himself, one of the co-hosts of the Retro Logic podcast, as well as On Topic Retro. The Globe-Trottin' Jet-Settin' Nintendo Hub and Sparky himself.
Yes.
Adam Caparello, also of the Retro Groove podcast and Octorock 1982 YouTube channel. Shy Guy, the second member of the Shy Guy Mod Squad. And finally, the legend himself, the Christmas legend himself,
Uncle Santa Randy.
Uncle Santa Randy. Can that be, like, instead of Santa Baby, can it be Santa Randy?
I'm
Can
dead.
that
Well, I
be
mean, this is an honest question, Seth. Like, is there any like Santa-esque figure for the Hanukkah season or the Hanukkah holiday?
Nope. We give each other gifts. It isn't really even a religiously charged holiday at all.
Neither is Christmas anymore.
It's fair, but it's just a big old party. And we just we give each other like party gifts basically. So that's really all it is. But
yeah.
Anyway,
shout out to one of our patrons, Sparky, who actually just did his first video review of a game this past week on a wonderful little cozy little title from Playtonic Games that released last week. Little Gator Game.
We'll talk
Gator
about
game.
that here in a minute.
Definitely check it out.
Yeah, for sure. Check out Sparky on the Nintendo Hub. He does great work over there. Love you, Sparky.
Indubitably.
Also want to shout out an anonymous 5-star review that we got on iTunes. So thanks for that. We don't know who you are, but you know who you are, and we appreciate it.
You know who you are.
You know who you are, leaving us those kind reviews.
Yeah.
So we do appreciate those. As always, you can leave us 5-star reviews on Apple Podcasts, Podchaser, and Audible, and you can leave written reviews there. Drop some words for us there. This is where I would shout them out if you leave them, but anonymous reviews are totally fine too. I love those too. I'll still shout you out. And you can leave us 5-star ratings on Spotify. Very free and easy way to support this show. So thank you so much to everybody who does that, including our anonymous reviewer this week. Love and appreciate you. But sir, what's been going on this week?
Well, we are deep into not only the holidays, but into Golden Aces crunch season. So I've been rolling credits on quite a few titles. Rolled credits on like 4 separate games over this past week. I rolled credits on Jitsu Squad this past weekend. That was a ton of fun, a ton of hype. $30 is still an incredibly steep price to pay for that, especially when we have games like especially when we have games like TMNT Shredder's Revenge and River City Girls 2 that just released, which I know is $10 more, but it has online play at the very least. Jitsu Squad is really, really cool. If you can find it on sale, I do recommend checking it out, but it's ultimately like a 2.5 hour long game. It does
Right.
have some incredibly cool, incredibly hype moments, including getting the one and only Johnny Gioeli from Crush 40 to sing a couple
What?
songs. And yeah, I'm not. Did you not
What?
get that far?
No. What?
No. Yeah, I'm not even kidding.
Oh
Yeah,
my god.
they got Johnny Gioeli to sing a couple songs for Jitsu Squad, which are ridiculous. Including, I shared one of them in the Discord VGM lounge.
Oh
We have
yeah.
we have a specific channel in our Discord that's just for people to share like their favorite video game music. It's amazing. But there's a song in Jitsu Squad called "Surfing on the Lava" where Johnny just goes in. It's super on the nose, but it's
Oh my god.
hilarious. It's
That's
amazing.
amazing.
Yeah. I really like Jitsu Squad. I was super hyped for it. Seth knows that. It's been on my radar for a very long time. I was very happy to have the opportunity to play it, and we were actually provided the code for it. So thank you
Yeah.
very much for that. Like full unabashed, unconditional recommend.
hype.
I don't know. I don't know if I could go that far. You do unlock like a tag mode once you beat it, but yeah, 4 characters, 2.5 hours, $30 price tag with no online.
Really, it's the price tag. The price tag is the big sticking point, I think.
Yeah,
If it had online, it'd be more recommendable. That's the big unfortunate
absolutely.
thing. Yeah.
See, they tease more coming. I don't know if
Right.
that's coming in a future update or if it's coming in a future game, though.
It'd be nice.
So we'll see. I would much, 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 much be excited for if they decided to come out with a big patch or more content for Jitsu Squad. And if they do, we will definitely let you guys know. But if you're able to find it on sale or something, definitely check it out. If you can find it cheap and you're looking for an incredibly hype, kind of nuts 2.5 hour beat 'em up experience, and you've played all the other amazing beat 'em ups that we have on the Switch.
There's a lot.
We have so many amazing beat 'em ups, but Jitsu Squad is it's it's an experience. I'll say that. In addition to Jitsu Squad, I finally rolled credits on Neon White.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah, I did.
you
not
did.
the true ending of Neon White. That's going to take a
Gotta
little
go
bit of
back.
extra work. But
Yeah.
yeah, man, I love that game so much.
Me
And I
too.
love how hard it gets toward the end. Some of those levels get like really difficult.
Very
especially-
involved. Yeah.
Yes. The last proper stage in the game is called Marathon, and it's one of my favorite like stages that I've played on the Nintendo Switch in the past few years. It's so good. It's one of those games that 1000% earns its difficulty.
Yep.
And it's so great. It's so fun, so arcadey, but so tight. I mean, the jumps are super floaty, but they're intended to be.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's a ton of fun. That don't give me. I'm going to rewind just for a second there. But it's I really have a hard time finding more superlatives to talk about that game with. We're probably going to be talking about it a lit. My lord, I can't speak right now. We're probably going to be talking about it quite a bit come Golden Aces season here in a couple weeks. So don't you fret, young children.
Am I going to be there? Then yes, we're going to be talking about Neon White. Yeah,
That's
we're going to
fair.
be talking about Neon White.
That's fair. Another game that we played and rolled credits on is It Takes Two.
Yeah, man. Good game.
We finally did it this past week, and something we've been waiting to do for so long. If you haven't checked out youtube.com/allinpodcast in the past week or so, definitely check it out. We streamed our entire playthrough of It Takes Two. We had an absolute blast. We'll be talking about it later on in the podcast episode for our Christmas extravaganza, so definitely check that out. But man, just another amazing experience released on
Chef's
the Switch
kiss.
this past year. So good. But even in addition to that, there's so much been going on. I've still been playing a lot of Pokemon Violet. I've been almost obsessively collecting 6-star raid, terror raid Pokemon. Like I just got Farigiraf and Dude, some of the randos I grab in that game though are just, oh my lord. Some of the people just look at the terror type and be like, oh, it's a dark type, I'll bring a fighting type, and not realize that it's a Corviknight,
Yeah, yeah,
and then
yeah.
just get completely wrecked. I'm like,
Demolished.
oh,
Yeah.
I've essentially completely transitioned strategies because everybody wants to do DPS. So I've just assumed that if
All
we're going to
support.
have, yeah, I've just assumed that if we're going to have a prayer of beating any of these, then I'm going to have to run full support because everybody else is going to run DPS, and everybody has continued to run DPS with one or two exceptions in the dozens and dozens of raids that I fought in. But because of me and my amazing Blissey, I've been able to get a really good win percentage on 6-star raids recently and collecting quite a strong team. For what? I don't know. Just to catch them all. That's the whole point of Pokemon. But I'm
That's
still
the whole
having a good
point.
time. Still having a
Sam
good time.
Sam in the chat says reflect and light screen make you a hero. Here's the deal. Here's the tactic I've had to take. I've had to like revert because I've just been playing so many other things, just trying to cram it in. I've had to put Pokemon on the back burner. So now I've taken the stance of like, it's probably not even that cool anyway. You nerds over there playing Pokemon. If I can't have it, it probably sucks. You know, that's kind of the mentality that I've had to be in because otherwise I'd be right there with you guys.
I completely understand. But I'm still having a lot of fun with it. There's still a lot of stuff that I need to put some time into, but I do like that's my like little off time game that I come back to. You know, every once in a while, I'll stop the grind for everything that we're trying to crush and everything that we're trying to crunch for golden aces, and I'll just go in and do a few terror raids and kind of recenter myself. But speaking of more crunch, speaking of other stuff that we're checking out for Golden Aces season, something that I've been so looking forward to, I finally was able to find a few hours and really dive into this past week, and that is Digital Eclipse's pristine, pristine Atari 50th Anniversary Collection.
Cool.
Wow. Wow. It is genuinely such a good collection that is retroactively making me think less of other collections that I own.
They're not that great. They're not Atari 50.
Exactly. Now I'm looking at other collections and be like, you don't even have any interviews.
I don't want to play with you anymore.
Exactly. But my God, it's amazing. Not only does it just have dozens and dozens of old Atari games, but one of the things that Digital Eclipse understood is the fact that, like, the vast majority of these games do not hold up to modern scrutiny. So, in order to make the games interesting, they have gone out of their way. It's not just a collection, it is an actual celebration. It feels like you're playing through this massive interactive museum. Not only do you have the games to play, but you have all of the historical significance wrapped up around each one. You have all of these insanely rare documents that I was constantly saying to myself, how in the world did they get that? They have all of these amazing interviews, like an actual full-on documentary length amount worth of interviews with
How'd they
all
get
these
Nolan
really
Bushnell's
cool.
social security card? Where'd they get that? They got
But they've got so much stuff, and they give you the context that you need to really appreciate these games. You're probably not going to put 10 hours into Pong. They understand that, but what they do is they give you the game and say, this is why this is significant. We're not just going to give it to you as like, hey, here's a game, play it. This is why this game is important and why you should respect it as a piece of video game history. And then they do that for everything else, and not just for the Atari. They've got the Atari 2600, they've got Atari 7200 games, they've got even Atari 800 games. I didn't realize this. There was an Atari 800 game released in 2007
Oh wow. That's
called
cool.
called Voosh or something, which was actually
Voosh.
really cool. I really
Nice.
dug it. It's this little like basketball that hops down a tunnel, and you've
All
got
right.
a it's
That's cute. I like
it's pretty
that.
interesting.
Yeah.
But in addition to that, they've got Atari Lynx
Yeah,
games. They've got
Lynx and
Atari
Jaguar.
Jaguar
That's
games.
crazy. Yeah.
And in addition to that, they've even got like half a dozen or so of what they call reimagined games. They made a new version of Breakout, which I really like. The Neo Breakout game in the Atari collection is really cool. Eric Likey. they finished off another big thing that they were excited to finally do with this collection. They finished off the Sword Quest
That's cool.
quadrilogy.
Mm-hmm.
So finally, after literal decades, they finally finished and made right on the promise set in the first 3 games. And they finally finished off that quadrilogy with this 50th anniversary collection. There's another reimagined game called Vector Sector, which is rad. So there's just so many cool things. There's so many different reasons, that I can recommend this collection to so many different people. If you've ever been remotely interested in the history of video games or the industry itself behind the software, it's a must own. Like, that's all there is to it. It's a must own. As a celebration, as a video game collection, it's peerless. But as an actual celebration of the industry and the history that we all love, it is maybe the greatest example of that I've ever seen.
Nice. I gotta get it. I haven't gotten around to picking it up yet, but it has to happen. I will own it. It will be mine. Oh yes, it will be mine.
Yeah, but just so much going on. We've got a bunch of other games we still need to get to, including the one on the screen behind me, which we'll be talking about here in just a few seconds. I finally restarted Tunic. I restarted
Nice.
Tunic, and you and I were talking about this just a little bit before the episode began, but it just feels so different. I gave it about a week after the first time I tried to play it, and just nothing was clicking with me. Not to say that I wasn't necessarily enjoying myself, but the game speaks in a language that's very different from the vast majority of other games. That much is fairly widely publicized. But by the end of my first playthrough, when I was legitimately so frustrated that I was ready to turn it off and never turn it back on, I said, let me just step away for a week, come back to it, and it feels like a whole new game to me now. Now that I better understand, now that I speak the game's language even
Mm-hmm.
just a little bit more, it feels like a completely different experience now. So I am very excited to finally play Tunic to completion.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to hearing your thoughts once you finish it, cuz yeah, I've got some interesting, I think I love it. I think I love it. I think it's really really good maybe. So, I don't know. I'm looking forward to talking more about it with you.
Yeah, absolutely. There are definitely a couple things that objectively I was like, game, you really should have done this.
Mhm.
But yeah, there's a lot of really interesting stuff going on underneath the hood of this game. And there are games that I really like that I had a bad first impression of. But once I kind of wrap my head around it, I'd be like, okay, this is what the game's going for.
Right.
We weren't on the same page the first time. So, sometimes that's just what you got to do. Sometimes if you're playing a game, step away from it. If it's just not clicking the first time, maybe just step away from it, erase your file, come back to it a week later. If it's still not clicking with you, completely understand, but that's actually fixed my perception of a couple games. So if you find that happening with yourself and a game that you're playing, maybe that could be a route you could take.
Yeah. Tunic especially. Like Tunic's a really
Yeah.
good example of that. Yeah, for sure. Cool, man. Well, I'm gonna be quick with mine because a lot of the things I've been playing actually we're gonna be talking about in the news.
Yeah,
So
that's fair.
I've got a couple of things that I'll shout out. You mentioned Little Gator Game earlier. I did 100% that. I love that game. I think it's
Nice.
so good.
God, I want to play it.
It's
So
so
much has
good.
come out just this month.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, it's excellent. Like it's the perfect game to play for the holidays. Like it's the perfect like little you'll probably 100% it in 5 hours or so. It's not a big ask, but it's just this perfect little a short hike, Breath of the Wild kind of thing with a story and like something to say about kind of growing up and making time for fun and stuff and familial relationships and friend relationships, and it's just a very like wholesome treat of a game. I really don't have any complaints with it. Like it's kind of perfect. Like and it like runs like beautifully on Switch. Weirdly, I streamed it here on the YouTube channel. If you want to, if anybody watching or listening wants to check it out. But man, I just like, yeah, like I loved it. I honestly can't think of a flaw with it. Like it's great. Funny writing too, like really referential. Yeah, it's awesome. Like I
Yeah,
can't recommend it
it's
highly enough.
completely see why Platonic was so taken with that game.
Yeah, well, and like it's cool too because everybody in the community in the Discord and stuff have really latched onto it too. And it kind of became this moment where like I think maybe it was Shy Guy who got it first, and Shy Guy was kind of reporting to everybody in the Discord like, "Oh, everybody needs to play this. It's so good." And then people slowly kind of started playing it and just talking about it, and then more people would play it to the point where I think there's probably like 7 or 8 community members who were just all talking about Little Gator Game like in the
Oh
Discord.
yeah, oh
And
yeah.
yeah,
I love
it
our
was really
community.
cool. I do too, man. It was just really cool, and it's, yeah, it's a phenomenal game. And then I've also just been, so one of the games that I had on my crunch list was Cult of the Lamb, and I am addicted to Cult of the Lamb.
Yep.
Addicted to it. It is so good. Now it has problems. It has issues. I think some of them are design issues and some of them are performance issues. Because unfortunately, the Switch version of the game does struggle to keep up with, especially once your cult gets really big and there's a lot of like systems in play. Because you can get to the point where, like, my cult right now has got just like a farm on it and like all these different houses and
You've
beds
hit the
and
asset limit, sir.
yeah, like the game has a hard time keeping up with that. And that is unfortunate. And the Switch version, like at first I was like, I don't see what everybody's complaining about, and then as I got deeper in, I was like, oh, okay, yeah, it's pretty bad. Um, that being said, the loop I think is really satisfying too. The problem that the game has is that the balance between like managing your cult and going out on your like roguelike Hades-esque runs is really
Yeah.
kind of busted because before I even beat the first boss, my cult was already, I was so like addicted to the cult management side of it. My cult was already basically maxed out before I ever even took down the first boss. Like I've probably spent 20 hours in this game. 95% of it has just been doing the cult management stuff. So, and that's not to say that the roguelike stuff is bad. It's just like the incentivization to do that, it's almost more obligation than anything else. Like the cult stuff feeds into the roguelike stuff, but the roguelike stuff doesn't feed enough back into the cult stuff. So, that's the only like major issues I have with it. Otherwise, it's like sublime. Like I will just spend 5-6 hours in it, just melt it away, just without even
Yep.
trying. It is
Yep.
addicting, man.
Yep.
Yeah, I can see what all the fuss is about. It's a good game.
Those management sims will get you, man. It's like,
I
here I've
didn't
spent 2 hours on this management. Oh, it's Tuesday? Oh, Lord.
I didn't think I was into them. Like I've really kind of come to learn that like I think I like management sims. Like I played Arcade Paradise earlier this year and really
Yeah.
enjoyed that. You know, I've got this here. I played the demo for that game Spirity that's coming out. I'm like, do I like management sims? Like, I guess I do. So it's kind of funny.
Well, I think for a lot of people, it just to do with the framing. I think for
Right.
a lot of people, it just has to do with the framing. If you look at something from a certain angle through a certain lens, it may not seem appealing to you. But all of a sudden, if you put a fresh coat of paint on it and you compare it to something that you're more interested in, all of a sudden it's like, oh, this game looks amazing now.
Yeah. I
So,
think yeah, I think it's that and just the way that the systems play with each other
yeah.
is also super important for me too. But anyway, like I said, I've been playing more stuff, but we'll talk about that as we get into the news. And speaking of that, what do you say we get into that news?
There's a nice little advent calendar for us to unwrap here in the news. So let's go ahead and unwrap it.
Hey, listen!
Far and away, the biggest news story within the world of Nintendo this past week has been, of course, the daily Inside the House of Indie's little 5-minute micro indie world showcases that we've been getting each and every day to the honestly, stress of your two
Oh, yeah.
wonderful co-hosts here leading up to the Golden Aces, because we don't need any more amazing games to shadow drop on us in the next 2 weeks. Thank you very much. However, we're still getting more awesome games here on the Nintendo Switch, so that is still cause for celebration. And again, for the past 5 days, we've been getting these little micro indie world showcases chock full of interesting looking games and shadow drops every day.
Every day.
Every day. Far and away the most notable of which I would argue would be Sports Story, the game that we just got here a little bit earlier on today. But Seth, let's go ahead and start at the beginning. Let's start with Monday. There's so much to jump into with
Yeah.
these inside the House of Indie presentations. So let's open up the advent calendar from Monday.
Yeah.
What do we got?
It's so, yeah, this was interesting, right? Because this is essentially, I mean, what they've done here is this is an Indie World Showcase just broken
Yeah.
up into 5 days. Like this, if you put all this together, this would just be a really
Indie
good, like
Mhm.
25, 30-minute Indie World Showcase. They've just packaged it in a cute holiday advent calendar way. I thought it was great.
With enough
think
shadow
it's,
drops to choke the eShop.
oh my god, yeah, it was ridiculous. So I really actually quite enjoyed this. I hope they do it again in the future.
Me too.
So for day one, the shadow drops we got were Floppy Knights and Mortal Shell, which was cool. We got Paparazzi announced for early 2023 and Roman Sand Rebuild coming in summer 2023 for day one, which is a pretty strong start. Like, honestly, Floppy Knights has been on PC and Xbox for a little while. This is, I think,
Yep.
a lot of the Dicey Dungeons team that made this game. And like having that shadow drop was crazy. Mortal Shell has been on other consoles and PC for a little while now, but that's one of those like, how does this even run on Switch kind of games. That shadow dropping is crazy. Like,
I'd actually like to see how it runs on Switch because it looks kind of interesting. It looks very much like a lot of the Soulsborne titles. It looks
yeah,
almost like a new age Dante's Inferno or something. But
right.
I really kind of dug what I saw of it, so I'd be interested in checking it out. It's the Mortal Shell Complete Edition. It's got the original game and all the DLC that's been released up to this point, and it's only $30. It looks like a pretty good package for only $30. I would very much like to check that out. And of course, Floppy Knights, we've already talked about. They're billing Floppy Knights as Floppy Knights version 2.0. Like Seth said, it's already been on Steam and Xbox. However, it came to the Nintendo Switch with a pretty significant update, which I assume also got dropped on the Steam and on Xbox as well.
Yeah.
But they advertised a bunch of new cards and abilities, new playable characters, and a whole bunch of new content for the Nintendo Switch's holiday release this year. And again, I dig Dicey Dungeons. It's not amazing, but as far as roguelikes go, it's really cute. It's got a nice gimmick to it. It's well put together. There's a fair amount of polish involved. So just based on my experience with that, I'm really interested in at least checking out Floppy Knights, especially since we've, there were a couple tactics-based RPGs that we wound up not getting this year. So I'm kind of jonesing for one.
Yeah. Yeah, it was cool to see. I would like to play it. This one was definitely on my radar, but I don't need another thing to get sucked into because of some of the other things we'll talk about in some of the other days. Paparazzi, I think, looks cute. It's sort of a like dog photography kind of open worldish looking thing.
Yeah.
So
it looks like Alba meets like Nintendogs or something.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah. I'm kind of into it.
You can pet the dog. That's really all that needs to be said with that. But in addition to that, there's a ton of interesting little bonkers situations that you can find yourself in to take interesting photos of these dogs. They're running around driving scooters, playing firefighter, doing all kinds of weird, adorable things. You can dress up at least a few of the dogs that are in the game. But yeah, they had an actual quick little dev interview there for day one for Paparazzi. So I don't know. Could be fun. Could be interesting. If you're into really adorable, super cozy games like our friend Locklith, who was actually checking out a bunch of super cheap indie games earlier on today on YouTube, as a matter of fact. But if you're into cozy, cute little games like that, have it on your radar. Check it out.
Yeah. And then Roman Sand Rebuild, kind of, that one had my ears perk up because it kind of reminds me, like, it's got that kind of neon white, like mid 2000s like style to it a little bit. and I don't know. I'm kind of intrigued by it. I don't know what to make of the actual like gameplay of it. It seems like it's
Yeah.
kind of priding itself on being a bunch of different genres at once. But I don't know. I'm kind of into like the style of it at least. So I'll keep an eye on that one.
I don't know, especially with all the games that have come out of over the course of this past week. I've got to say, Roman Sans Rebuild really kind of fell down the queue for me.
Out of
I didn't.
yeah, in the grand scheme of it, it's one of the weaker ones for sure.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I didn't see enough of it for it to keep my interest even beyond the next day once the
yeah.
next one had come out. So, but I don't know. It's not out. That's one of the ones that didn't shadow drop. Maybe we'll learn a few more things about it in the following weeks and months that will reignite our interest in it. We shall see.
We will see. But let's talk about day 2 because
Let's
the games from day 2 are the Punch-In from
punch you
Shinen
in. Yes.
Multimedia. Yeah.
hmm We
Uh
saw Shannon and we were like, "Oh no!"
yeah, that was it for me. Like the second I saw that it was Shinen, I was like, well, cool, done, like bought it. And then the Captain also shadow dropped, which also looks really cool. We got new trailers for the Gecko Gods and Risk of Rain Returns that are both announced for next year as well. The Punch-In, I actually did pick up. It was
Yep.
a shadow drop again. I picked it up. There's a video on the YouTube channel of I'm really bad at it.
That's
What
actually the video of it. No kidding.
that it's really bad. It's not good. I'm not good at the game, but I'm looking forward to learning more about it. What it is, because I think a lot of people watched the trailer and said like, well, like what is this? Because
Yeah.
you can see that it's like a
Find
cute.
people.
Yeah, right. You can see that it's like a cute like pixel art penguin with boxing gloves or whatever, but what is the game, right? What it is it's actually like a think about Tetris except instead of moving the tetronymos as they fall directly and trying to match them directly, you have to like they're going to fall in one way, but you have to make the pathway by punching obstacles out of the way as this penguin.
Isn't that like
Um
Yoshi's Cookie or something? Isn't the same thing you did?
Kinda. Yeah, kinda. It's a little bit like that, but Yoshi's Cookie is a little bit it's a little bit more, I guess, tactical than this is. This is more it's almost like they've tried to work an action platformer into like a puzzle, like a Tetris screen or something. It's
Mhm.
weird, and I'm not that far into it, but it gets overwhelming pretty quickly. And you have to have a pretty quick like reaction time and kind of know exactly what you're doing. There are a couple of little like interesting kind of moves. I always like it when a game has like little tactics that you just discover naturally. So something I learned quickly was that if one of the blocks that falls is against a wall or another block, if you punch it, it'll actually go backwards, like towards you. So that's something that you can employ quite a bit. The Punch-In also has like kind of a wall grab a little bit that the game never explicitly tells you, but you kind of figure it out like as you're playing. There's like I think it's called like the Pola shop or something like that, where this little polar bear will sell you upgrades and things, and it's very very polished, just like all of Shinen's games are. So yeah, I'm looking forward to playing more. It just is such a surprising, like they're such an interesting developer to go from stuff like Art of Balance and like Nano Stray, and then to like Fast RMX, Fast Racing Neo, and then The Tourist, and then this.
See, yeah, it's been a while since we've seen Shinin's name. The Tourist was actually, I believe, our second ever indie showcase.
I think that's right. Yep.
So it's been a little while, but once we saw, I immediately read Seth's mind. Once we both saw the Shinin logo, we were like, "Oh well, yep, that's bought. That's bought."
They're one of the few developers that just they're batting 1,000 for me. I have not encountered a Shinen game that I didn't enjoy. So
Yeah,
I mean,
but
that's
I
a
do
seal
want
of
to,
quality.
but I do want to stop and shout out Gecko
Yeah,
because Gecko Gods actually looks really cool.
looks great.
Looks really, really cool. A big, grand, open adventure where you play as an admittedly diminutive little gecko that appears that if somebody walked up and sneezed on him, you would probably have to respawn.
Yeah.
But the way you move around the gecko, I mean, he moves like a gecko. You have full traversal ability up columns and walls and everything like that. You have full wall stick, gravity defying seemingly capabilities. Actually reminded me a little bit of, games like Mario Galaxy where you had, I mean, I know these games are going to be vastly different,
Sure.
but it looks like you still have kind of full control and full agency regardless of which orientation your character is, which just looks super interesting to me. When you are not bound by gravity, when you are not bound by a single plane, I've just always, when games can nail that, I just think it's an
Right.
incredibly interesting mechanic to put into any type of game. It looks like there is some light puzzle solving, and I imagine at some point you'll pick up some new abilities. But just based on what we saw at day 2 of Inside the House of Indies, I really think I really want to pick up that Gecko Gods title.
Yeah, it looks great. I think the captain looks really cool. It's like this pixel art, sort of thing. Looks really neat. I don't know too much about it, but just like based on the trailer, that looked pretty cool. Risk of Rain Returns is a like remaster remake of the first Risk of Rain, which is neat. I've never played it. I've heard good things. I think Shy Guy City's a big fan of it. So, that might be something. I don't think we even saw any gameplay though. I think it was just like a trailer for it. And those both just kind of have vague 2023 dates. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, day 2. That was day 2.
There was day 2. Day 3.
Yes.
Day 3. I don't know too much about this. I don't know if it's going to be for me, but I know there's a lot of people really excited about this potion craft gang.
Yeah, I've heard a lot about the potion craft. There are people who are really into it. Like,
Yeah.
And it was kind of giving me like Strange Horticulture vibes a little bit, which
Exactly.
I love.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I love Strange Horticulture, one of my favorite games of the year. And I mean, we'll see. I'm curious how deep it goes into the actual like mechanics of crafting. I think it's actually been out on PC for a little bit, if I'm not mistaken. I think it's already out on PC, but it's coming to Switch in spring 2023. So I know there's excitement about this, but I don't know a whole lot about it personally. We'll see.
I don't know. We will see. It looks like it's got a fair amount of polish. It looks like there's a ton of options that you have. I mean, you're not just stuck inside the lab crafting potions. You have to actually go out and gather the ingredients. And, there is a loop involved. It's not just all one thing. So I don't know. We'll see if it appeals to that management sim part of our brain that Seth is finally tapping into.
Yeah, I guess so. We'll see. If it's anything like Strange Horticulture, like I couldn't believe how much I loved that game. Like
Yeah.
it's another, I guess that's another, like throw that in the pile of management sims that I was just super surprised by.
I know,
So,
like Chris Floyd, friend of the show, Chris Floyd. I know that's like his game of the year right now.
yeah,
Strange Horticulture.
dude, I don't blame him. It's up there for me. It really is. It's a great game. The other one that was not shadow dropped was Tin Hearts, which had my ears perk up a little bit. I think this looks pretty cool. It
Yeah.
kind of reminds me a little bit. My first, so this is like if you took like Tinykin with kind of like a Lemmings like sort of thing to it.
Yeah, we had to make the Lemmings
Yeah,
comparison. I mean,
it's got to be there.
yeah, it is 1000% inviting a Lemmings comparison, but it looks like you can actually take a lot more direct control.
Yeah,
Like you had control over some of the Lemmings in those games, and you had somewhat of control over the Tinykin in those games. But I know this is going to be a weird game to compare it to, but Brutal Legend.
Okay. Yeah. All right.
So where in Brutal Legend you have a bunch of things within the field that you set up for the tactics-based battles that go on, but even once you have everything set up, you can still go onto the playing field yourself and directly start to mess with things and directly start to alter things on the battlefield to fully implement your strategy. You can tell the AI to do certain things, and then once you finish handing out your orders, you can take control of one of the tin soldiers. You can take control of one of the characters on the main play field, and then fully integrate, fully enact your strategy.
Yeah. Yeah, this is a good point too. Tim's here in the chat. Tim from the Nintendo Dads. Hey Tim. Good to see
Hey,
you, buddy. Tim says Tin Hearts is on my wish list. Gave me a little Mario versus Donkey Kong vibe. Like the minis, the March of the Minis and stuff. Definitely.
Yeah, absolutely.
Could definitely see that. That's a good
That's
call,
a
Tim.
game. That's a game that is begging for some like just straight holiday stages.
Right. Well, and I was a little surprised when the trailer first started. I actually thought that this would maybe be a shadow drop.
Yeah.
Because
I mean, Tin Soldiers does really evoke like a
Totally.
Nutcracker type thing.
Totally. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. And so like the Tinykin comparison to me though comes from in Tinykin there are those moments where you would sort of like set your soldiers or your Tinykin or whatever forth to like lift an object and like take it on a pathway. That's
Yeah.
kind of the vibe I was getting, where it was like you're going to set your soldiers on this path to achieve these goals or whatever, but then yeah, you can take direct control and play it kind of like a more open 3D platformer, it looks like. I'm into it. I think it looks great. It's coming April 20th next
Yeah.
year.
Looks
So
really good for a big, I don't want to say open, but for a fairly involved looking big 3D adventure game, I guess we'll
graphically it
call it.
looks good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
graphically it looks very good.
Yeah. The two shadow drops we got on day 3 were Sonority and Sail Forth. Sail Forth is this, apparently it's been in development for a while. This is the first I'd ever heard of it. It's this kind of like Wind Waker inspired sort of thing, where it's like, yeah, open ocean on a sailboat and stuff like that. Looks kind of interesting. I'm kind of, maybe it's because we just played Wavetail, but like it was kind. I'm like, I don't need another like Wind Waker like game right now. So I kind of moved on from that. But it does look cool. It does look cool.
It looks like a scaled down version of something like Sea of Thieves or like Assassin's Creed 4 or one of those games that's really involved in naval combat. It just looks like kind of a
Yes.
scaled down version of that. So we've never got Sea of Thieves on the Nintendo Switch, right?
No. I
No.
predicted that. I still think that's gonna happen one day. I still think that's happening.
I don't know. We'll see. But there are a couple other games out there that I think can scratch that naval combat itch. So this, for me, Sailforth wasn't an immediate buy, but I was actually kind of interested in the other one specifically.
Let me tell you about it. Let me tell you about
Okay.
it.
Yeah, because
So-
we actually got a code for it. And
We did.
like Punch You In, that is another game that Seth has already made a video for the YouTube channel for. So make sure after this episode to check out youtube.com/allin podcast to actually check out his gameplay of Sonority. Seth,
Yeah.
the floor is yours.
So Sonority, and again, big thanks to the publisher for giving us code to check that out. Super appreciated. Because this is a really unique game. And I think the unfortunate thing about this, and it's going to be prohibitive to a lot of people for a couple of reasons. A, the game is short. The game has been out on PC, I think, for a little while. And I was seeing that people were beating it in like 2 hours. My video is like 40 minutes, so I think I literally played like half the game just in my video. And so like it's $19.99, so I think for the value proposition, I think that's going to be a little bit prohibitive. I think what's also going to be prohibitive is you can tell the game was made on a very low budget. And like the visuals and like there's like a little bit of jank. It kind of reminds me of like a PS2 original Xbox game in a lot of ways. For me, I find that kind of charming, but I can totally see people like playing this game or looking at this game and saying, wow, that just looks gross. So it's a tough like recommend for that reason. And I also think that, the game opens up, like the first thing you see is anybody can play this game. You don't need to be musically inclined to play this game or anything like that. I kind of disagree. Like now that I've played it, I kind of think that you need to have a little bit of like, not a lot, but like some basic musical inclination, I think is kind of needed for this game.
Well, I will be able to verify that very quickly.
Just because you just have to know, because the basic setup of it is you're this woman named Esther who's trying to find a melody that will cure her like talking bear friend or something like that. And it's like this world that's inhabited by like magical talking animals, and there's like this talking raccoon that you see in the trailer and stuff like that. And the world is sort of beset by these puzzles and these notes that you pick up, and you play music on your pan flute in order to like lift and raise and lower platforms and things and navigate the world and solve these puzzles. And that's all great, but you do have to have like an understanding of the register of notes. And like, even for me, like somebody who plays music, I had to sort of think about like, oh, this note is higher than that note. This note is maybe 2 octaves higher than that note, so it'll raise this thing 2 levels. So I think some people will find themselves like beating their heads against the wall with it and doing trial and error versus actually absorbing what the game is trying to teach you about musical notes and how they fall on a staff.
Well, isn't like the different buttons correspond to the different notes,
Yep.
correct?
Yep.
So
So
how intuitive is that?
for me, like for me it was weird because there would be situations, so up to the point that I played, like I had like C, D, E, and F notes, and the C and D would be on like L and ZL, and then E and F would be on left D-pad and up D-pad. And it's not all that intuitive because I would know which note that I wanted to play, but I'd be like, oh, like dang it, like I hit the wrong button. Let me mash around until I find the button that is, corresponding to the note.
Admittedly, that was one of the big things I was afraid of, is seeing that they were just mapping different notes to the controller. I said that, a video game controller isn't a really natural
Yeah.
translation of something like that.
And what's weird about it too is you can actually lay these things in two different ways. You can have you can display them as notes, or you can display them as numbers. So that's meant to be an accessibility feature so that people who might not understand this note is so many steps, higher in pitch than this note, they can see that 4 is higher than 1 instead. So that's meant to be an accessibility feature. But like for me, it is like for me it's just not intuitive enough for the lay person to wrap their mind around. And I think that's like kind of unfortunate because it's a neat idea. Like with a higher budget, a little more polish, and like a little more time in the oven, or like just refinement, I think in general, this could be really something interesting and special. But for it being a 2-hour experience that has like these little issues that I don't think are going to vibe with everybody, and for it being $20, it's kind of a tough recommend, if I'm being honest with you. Like I think it's cool, but I can't really like recommend it. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So it's kind of where I'm at with it.
Well, I mean, unfortunately, not every game. We like to be as positive as we possibly can be on the show, but we're not going to recommend every game that we play to you guys. Where there's just some that ultimately probably needed a little bit more time in the oven, probably needed a little bit more time on the whiteboard.
Yeah.
But maybe they'll take this and move forward and create a better product from it.
I hope so. It's a really neat idea. So I hope so. But day 4, man. Let's talk about day 4.
Day 4, man. Did the Inside the House of Indies just kill us?
The hits keep coming.
Oh my lord. Okay, so day 4, a game that you and I have been very excited for. Well, I'm just going to go ahead and say it because this was one of the shadow drops from day 4. It was Melatonin, a rhythm-based puzzle-esque game that everybody and their dog has already kind of compared to Rhythm Heaven.
It is Rhythm Heaven.
Yeah.
Like that's what it is.
That shadow dropped on the Nintendo Switch to much acclaim and also much, oh no, from Seth and Eric.
I bought it instantly. Like
yeah.
I had to have it. I love this game. I played it during Steam Next Fest. I've been following it for like a year. Everybody
you did a Steam Next Fest demo video of it,
I didn't
right?
do a video for it because for the reason I didn't is because and it's funny because there are a couple people, I think Shy Guy in the community, he was like, yeah, like it's tough, like the timing is tough, and Rhythm Heaven can be tough too. So like when I was trying to play it for the video, I had my headset on, and there's inherent latency with a headset, so it made it impossible for me to play it. That's why I didn't do a video. That's why you're never going to see me stream it. I can't play a game like this properly with a headset. So, but Melatonin though is a fantastic game. If you're a Rhythm Heaven fan, honestly, buy it. Like it, I couldn't give it a stronger recommendation for Rhythm Heaven fans because,
and Rhythm Heaven is something that is very close to Seth's heart, ladies and gentlemen.
One of my favorite franchises. And it feels great. It has a unique sense of style, this sort of like pastel, dreamlike kind of style. It looks gorgeous. The music is great, and the games themselves are like super well made and well done, and has a high skill ceiling for sure. But if you're a Rhythm Heaven fan, this is a no-brainer. Like you should have already bought this.
What are you doing with yourself?
Yeah, for sure. So
Yeah.
I can't wait to play it.
Yeah, this is another one that I'm really excited for. Uh, I know it's not Harmonite, but that's just the image that I get in my head because I really like Harmonite, and I know I'm going to really like this. So,
I hope so. I'll
but
be interested to hear what you think because I think it's a little bit more hardcore than something
yeah,
like Harmonite. So I'm going to be interested to hear your thoughts once you get a chance to play it.
yeah, I am really, really interested to check it out, though. Cannot wait. However, as overpriced as it arguably may be, there was another shadow drop that one of them directly spoke to Seth. One of the shadow drops on day 4 directly spoke to me.
Yeah, this is an
And
Eric game. This is an Eric
yeah,
game through and through.
definitely an
Yeah.
Eric game, but slightly more pricey than Melatonin.
Yeah.
This game came out at $25. It's called Hyper Gun Sport, essentially volleyball in a cyberpunk post-apocalyptic world. Not necessarily post-apocalyptic, but volleyball in a cyberpunk world with guns. You play as one of 7 different teams on 7 different arenas, and you use your different weapons at your disposal to hit a ball back and forth to try to hit it up against the wall, up against the scoring zone of the opposing team. We, and especially me, have been banging the drum to death about having more arcade sports titles on the Nintendo Switch and about how I just want all of them. So here I am putting my money where my mouth is. I picked it up. I will let you guys know what I think of it to let you know if it earns, despite its on the surface apparent lack of content and lack of online multiplayer, unfortunately.
Yeah.
7 teams, 7 arenas, no online multiplayer, which is really, really unfortunate. But again, I keep tooting the horn about arcade sports titles, so I've already picked it up. I will let you guys know what it's like. Looking forward to check out both Melatonin and Hypergun Sport from today. But those were just the shadow dropped titles from day 4. There were a couple other titles like the rest of the days that were also shown off, and I've got to say, like After Image looks pretty rad.
It does. It looks like, it's like a Symphony of the Night kind of style looking,
Yeah,
Metroidvania thing. I was apparently
very white, very angelic.
Yeah. Shy Guy City shared in our Discord. Apparently the game's like 30 plus hours long, which I was like, holy cow, I didn't
Bro.
realize that. Yeah. So that one's coming April 25th. It's one of those things where like if you're gonna swing at the king, you better not miss because it's
Yeah.
so clearly evocative of like those Symphony of the Night specifically. I think it looks like a lot like it. So we'll see. I'm intrigued by this one though. Like I hope it is as good as it looks.
Yeah, it's got a really nice, really thin but really well polished anime art style to it that I really dig. And if it's well designed, that 30-hour runtime could be a big boon for it. There are so many games that just really pad out the time, and based on what we saw, the level design did look slightly bland to
Yeah.
me, but just based on everything else I saw in the trailer, I do still have high hopes for it. I just hope that 30 hours isn't padded out with mind-numbing platforming sections and even more mindless combat. We will see, but just based on the art style in the trailer, looks pretty rad.
Yeah, it does. I'm really excited for Smile for Me also coming next spring. And for one reason in particular, I have said on this show that it is maybe one of my like biggest crimes in the Nintendo Switch era that we do not have Jazz Punk on the Nintendo Switch, which is
Yeah.
my favorite comedy game ever made. Like full stop. And it's one of the few games that I would consider like comedy as a genre. Like I couldn't call that game anything other than a comedy. And Smile for Me totally has jazz punk vibes. So like that alone, just the vibe it's giving me makes me really want to play it. So
It kind of reminds me a little bit of Toem and Psychonauts.
yeah, Toem, I can see the Toem comparison because it's got that kind of like 2D characters that sort of like
Exactly.
follow you around. Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
So, but it seems bonkers, and I love games that I get to use that word with. A, because bonkers is really fun to say, and 2, because typically bonkers games are at the very least entertaining because of that aspect.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm very much here for that. It's coming next spring, so I've got my eye on that one for sure. But day 5, the final day,
Day 5.
was where They brought the sauce. Like, we kind of knew going into this, right? We knew going into this whole thing.
Yes.
And you know, we didn't bury the lead or anything. Sports Story did shadow drop during this, and we sort of knew that kind of had to happen, right?
Yeah, there are a lot of rumblings. It's getting toward the end of 2022. Sports Story was slated to come out this year. There are a lot of people like, is it? It's got to be here. If it's releasing this year, it's got to be here. Where is Sports Story? It's been one of the most highly requested and most anticipated indie games of the past year. Where is it? Then they announced the inside of the House of Indies little advent calendar, and everybody was like, I mean, it just has to be. And sure enough,
Yeah.
it was.
Had to be. Well, and not even just like it was promised this year, it was promised in December. Like, we had an Indie World showcase in November, and the last announcement was that Sports Story was coming in December, which was super weird. It's like, why? If it's like a month away, why not just give us the date now? And flash forward to here, it's like, okay, well, I guess this is here we are, like in the final days of December. This is where they're gonna drop Sports Story. And it almost felt like they built the entire presentation around this, to be honest.
Kind of, yeah.
Because not that there haven't been other amazing announcements that we've talked about, but like, you know, that was when the door opened and everything, and it's like with Sports Story inside, and you know, so that was shadow dropped. Eric picked it up. I'm in no huge hurry to play it. I'll play it eventually, I'm sure. I still need to play Golf Story. Like,
yeah, we did an indie showcase on Golf Story. Go back, and I honestly can't remember off the top of my head what episode that was, but Golf Story was super, super fun. A really interesting golf RPG hybrid. And, you know, everybody who's played Golf Story was understandably hyped for its follow-up Sports Story, which took that formula and was like, well, let's just throw every sport in there. We've been seeing little trailers for it on and off for the past year and a half, but finally this weekend we have it in our hands, and I can't wait. I'm going to see if somehow, some way, somewhere, somewhat, I can crunch this out for Golden Ace season, because it would not surprise me if it did make the ballot for a couple.
You're
of
a madman. You're a madman,
bro. Sorry, family. I can't spend the holidays with you. I got to work.
Yeah, sorry. I gotta crunch in this video game. Yeah, I don't know. I'm sure it's great. You know, I'll get to it someday. I'll get to it when it's on sale for like $5, like I did with Golf Story.
Someday.
So we'll see. But they also gave us a new trailer for Sea of Stars, which is cool. You know, I'm to the point where I'm a little sick of seeing that game, if I'm being honest.
I honestly thought you would have been just all starry-eyed talking about Sea of Stars, because here we are, the final day of the Inside the House of Indies Advent Calendar, and who should pop up in the presentation but Yasunori Mitsuda. I would have figured that alone would have made you incredibly hyped, Seth.
I love him, but like, he came out and kind of said nothing. Like, he came out and just said like, hi, yes, I'm working on this. Cool, we already knew you were working on it. Yes, I'm very excited for it. Of course you are. Yeah, I liked The Messenger. Cool story, bro. Like, there's no actual information given here. Like, the game looks great. I'm very hyped for it, and like, I can't wait to hear the music. His involvement alone would warrant a day one purchase for me. But to me, like, and you guys know this about me, like, I hate when people just give us non-information. Like, the purpose of events like this is to give me information. And I hate just being like strung along and just given these little morsels and here's a new trailer with no new info. That always drives me crazy. So that's why I'm a little like, you know, cold on that. But I mean, the game looks great. I'm all over the game. Make no mistake. Yeah. But yeah.
But we got another couple of games here that are probably going to wind up being forgotten just because of Sports Story on day 5. But we did get shown off a game that honestly I thought was Wizard with a Gun for a few minutes.
Right.
It's this game called Dust and Neon, which again, just because I said it I basically thought it was Wizard with a Gun at first, should probably tell you a lot about the game already. But it could be cool. Could be cool.
I think it looks neat. It's a twin stick roguelike shooter where you play as like a robot cowboy or something, like some steampunk like robot cowboy.
Looks like Oddworld Stranger's Wrath meets
a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah. I think it looks neat. It's coming early 2023. I'm into it. I'll keep my eye on it. And then it was really funny when I saw this Undying game. My first thought was, does anybody remember Clive Barker's Undying? That's a
Oh yeah.
that's another game.
Wow.
So when I saw that title, because the way they had the YouTube videos set up, they had them broken into chapters with I'm like, they're bringing Clive Barker's Undying to the Switch. Like I literally thought that's what it was, but no, it's like this kind of top down, like very like polygonal looking, kind of vague, like stylistic. Looks very dramatic, like kind of like visual novel sort of thing. Looks kind of interesting. Maybe something to keep your eye on. Comes out next spring.
You know, it's
So
so funny you talk about that. Smile for me when I saw that, just because of the horror movie that we got this past year,
oh
Smile.
yeah.
That's all I could think about for some reason when I saw that. I just mashed those two in my head and said I just keep thinking about that. But yeah, so it's been a very eventful past couple of days. A lot of shadow drops from this cumulative, massive Indie World Showcase week that we've been gifted this holiday season from Nintendo. A lot of really interesting games coming out right here at the tail bookend of 2022. A lot that are already really worth recommending. So, you know, if anything that we've said in the past half hour sounds interesting to you whatsoever, check it out. Again, these presentations are like 4 or 5 minutes a piece. So check them out. They're all on Nintendo's YouTube channel. We shared them all on social media. They're all super easy to find. And there's a lot of really interesting, really diverse titles inside the House of Indies from this past week's Advent calendar. So check them out. I do want to shout out one thing though. It's not in the notes, but I do want to let publishers and developers and advertisers know that what Nintendo did here was really cool. What Devolver Digital did this week is how you should not do holiday advertisements for your games. Because what did you just talk about? Being really annoyed with Seth when people did presentations like this is not giving us information. A couple days ago, Devolver Digital dropped on us a half-hour holiday presentation, which was in typical Devolver Digital fashion, really weird and over the top, and with quite a bit of anarchic devil imagery and a lot of bizarre stuff going on. The problem is, crucially, it was basically just a half-hour ad for, hey, check out our holiday sale, because they featured games with zero new information for any of them. They just replayed trailers that we'd already seen. And yes, games like the Plucky Squire still look phenomenal. Games like Pepper Grinder and Angerfoot still look really, really cool. But everything that we saw and everything that you told us is stuff that we are already well aware of. They even made a joke halfway through where the main character of this presentation, Mr. Meatless, or whatever his name is, asked for dates for these games, and one of the characters actually said F you.
Yeah.
And he said, oh, that stinks. I really wanted dates. And I'm back here like, yeah, it does stink, Devolver. That actually does stink. Making a joke about it doesn't make it okay.
Yeah.
We got half an hour of Devolver Digital's presentation, which I typically really like. The problem is all of the presentations that we really like have actual announcements and information in headlines. How many headlines or how many stories have you seen ran about Devolver Digital's presentation from this past week? Because there was nothing to say.
Yeah.
Which stinks.
Yep.
So
it was unfortunate. It really annoyed me. Yeah.
That's a tale of how not to do it. I just wanted to say that if you're a publisher, that's how not to advertise your games. If you have no new information to show people, don't just create a half-hour program, a half-hour piece of marketing just for the lulz.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I completely agree. I don't really have much more to add to it than that. It super annoyed me. Felt like I wasted like 30 plus minutes of my life. It's fine. Quick shout out to Tim's mom. Tim's got us up in his living room TV. So his mom Cindy says hi. Hi, Tim's mom. Hi, Tim's
Cindy.
Mom.
Happy holidays. Hope you guys are enjoying cookies and cocoa.
Yes, happy holidays, everybody. Really appreciate y'all tuning in. So yeah, I mean, this is a total like textbook. This is how not to do things. Totally agree with you. Let's talk about something else just real quick. That is also how you should not do things. Okay, let's just talk about this. All right. Okay. All right.
They had so much good karma, so much good fanria. They had so much goodwill, and just.
We alluded to last week a little bit. There was an ESRB listing that cropped up for the Final Fantasy Pixel Remasters coming to Nintendo Switch. Well, this week they were officially confirmed they're coming next spring, and Square Enix announced this like at midnight, like randomly in the middle of the night on like Monday or Tuesday or something. And they said that, hey, these are coming. Great. You're going to be able to buy them all digitally as a bundle or piecemeal, whatever. It is also going to have a physical edition. Awesome. We love physical editions. Well, the physical editions are $74.99 for the standard edition of the game, and I believe $249 for the collector's edition of the game.
$250, yep.
They are in extremely limited quantities, meaning they sold out basically immediately, and they're exclusive to the Square Enix online store. You're not going to find them in the stores. Like, it's really not great. Now, the $74.99 price point for the physical actually doesn't really bother me. That's like $12 a game. That's fine. Like, I'm good with that. That's okay. It's the idea of producing them and manufacturing, like creating scarcity for your audience, who is very excited for this, who have been begging for this for a long time to have these on Switch. They're also coming to PlayStation and stuff. People have been begging for this, and to say, hey, physical releases are going to be exclusive on our store. Get them now. And hey, just pay whatever we ask for them. Because otherwise, what would you rather do? Buy them off of some guy on eBay who's going to ratchet up the price? It sucks. Like, it really sucks.
Yeah. So I happened to see when they announced it again at midnight, seemingly randomly. I guess after the ESRB rating got leaked, they just said, well, everybody knows. Let's just go ahead and throw it out into the wild. So Square Enix officially said, yes, all of these amazing games that you were incredibly disappointed weren't initially announced for consoles, that were initially just announced for Steam and mobile. Yes, all of you wonderful Final Fantasy fans are finally going to have access to them. Speaking of Final Fantasy, we did a great side quest this past week on Final Fantasy. Check that out if you are a patron. However, after that immediate swelling of goodwill, hey, come get these physical editions right now. I was actually very lucky. I actually was able to secure my pre-order for the standard edition for the Pixel Remastered. It's got a nice little slipcover. It's got, from what the listing said online, it's got all 6 games on one card, which was exactly what I was really hoping for. But yes, I can't deny that as incredibly excited as I am to have that confirmed and have that coming to me, it's kind of yucky how they did it, because a lot of people have very rightfully took Nintendo to task over the years for doing something very similar with a lot of their products. I mean, we've talked just in this past year about a lot of the stupidity, frankly, that's gone on with the pre-orders for Xenoblade Chronicles. And a lot of the amiibos initially were such small runs that so many people were up in arms about Nintendo creating artificial scarcity over stuff like that, about Nintendo creating scarcity over the NES and SNES classics that got released. And it stinks because, you have these people who were hoarding up these pre-orders, who are hoarding up these products only to sell them on eBay for 10 times the price. That's not what I'm going to do. But when you do stuff like that, you have people out there who will give you money. When you have stuff like that, all you're doing is funding the illegitimate purchase and the shady aftermarket purchases of these products. That's all you're doing.
My thing is we're not even talking about the collector's edition is scarce, get in while you can. That's normal. That's what happened with Xenoblade. It was the collector's edition was the thing that was scarce. And that was unfortunate too, but at least that was the collector's edition. When the standard version of the game is in extremely limited quantities and you can't just walk into a store and buy it, it's only on the Square Enix store, get in now or you're just never going to get it. Like, that to me is inexcusable. Like, there's no reason to do that. Like, it just drives me crazy. I don't understand like what the point of that is. You should just have that order for the standard in perpetuity. I should be able, if it's gonna be an online store exclusive, I should be able to go onto that online storefront whenever I want and order a copy. Like, that's how this works. That should be standard if you're producing a physical for the game. It's wild.
Thankfully, we're not the only ones talking about this in this light, and I'm hoping that we have shown that we have the power to change things. We have shown that we have the power, and that developers and publishers are listening to us. I'm hoping that once there's enough voices out there saying, "Hey, this really wasn't okay," I do hope that Square Enix will backtrack a little bit and be like, "Okay, let's do a second, third, fourth, 10th run of these and make sure that, at least most of the people who want to try to get their hands on one of these have an opportunity, that they didn't just, that they're not just SOL because they didn't happen to be awake when these were shadow dropped out of nowhere." Because that was the biggest thing, is the fact that not only did they just, "Hey, these are up now, get them," they did it when the vast majority of people in the West weren't even awake. So many people woke up to, "Hey, this got announced last night and the physical is already sold out." I'm sure there were a lot of people that woke up like, "Oh, well, great, forget me then."
Yeah, this is a thing, and it's already sold out, and you're never going to be able to get it unless you go on eBay. Sorry. Like, that sucks. So anyway, I don't want to dwell on it. It's unfortunate. I hope that they reverse the decision. I hope that they, to me, it's like it's greed for greed's sake. It's because they don't want to work with retail partners. They don't want to give GameStop a cut of the physical, or whatever the case may be, or Walmart or Amazon or whatever. They don't want to work with them. So they're like, let's just create our own scarcity and let's just order X amount of copies and guarantee that we're going to sell them. That's exactly what they did.
Here's what's going to happen. Tomorrow evening, the CEO of Square Enix is going to be visited by 3 spirits.
That'd be great. They did it all in one night.
They did it all in one night. The spirits can do anything. Yeah. That would be amazing. That would be so great.
Holy cow.
That would be so cool. I would love that.
Good call.
Little Christmas spirit.
Yeah, good call. But all right, we've talked about that long enough. Our notable releases this week, just to kind of wrap up, are basically the games we've already talked about.
Yeah, everything that dropped from inside the House of Indies this past week. We have, 10 Shadow releases from this week? 2 per day?
Something like that. Let's just go through these really quickly. So we've already talked about all these, but Floppy Nights.
Yep.
Mortal Shell Complete Edition, is that what it is?
Yep, Mortal Shell Complete Edition.
The Punch-You-In, which again, there's a video on the YouTube channel if you want to check that out of me playing it really badly. If you're curious what that game is like. The Captain, Sonority, also a video on the YouTube channel. I don't play it badly, but see what you think about the game. Sail Forth, Melatonin, which I also picked up and super excited about. Hyper Gun Sport, which Eric picked up, so stay tuned for that. And Sports Story, which Eric also picked up, and certainly the most prolific shadow drop of the entire event. So lots of notable releases and lots of shadow drops during this event, man.
Yeah, so if you're anti-family this holiday weekend, you certainly have enough reasons to stay in.
That's fair. That's fair. That's what we got, man.
That is what we got, guys. It's been an interesting final week coming into the holidays with the world of Nintendo, but we just want to thank you all for spending your weekends with us. Thank you all so much, and let us know what you are doing this weekend. We already know what Tim's doing. Hi, Tim's family again. We already know what Tim's doing. Let us know what you and your family are doing this holiday weekend. Reach out to us on Facebook at All In Podcast, on Twitter at All In Podcast. Make sure to check out all the amazing content that we produce for youtube.com/All In Podcast. In addition to this weekly news broadcast that we do in addition to all the videos that Seth pops out about all the amazing games that are coming out all the time. We do so much, you guys. We stay busy, but it's all for you. It's all for you. So this holiday season, we simply ask, we just a little bit, mayhaps you could, like Bob Cratchit, we could maybe have a little bit for become patrons. That's what I'm trying to awkwardly get to at this point. Maybe you should think about becoming a patron.
Perhaps throw a little bit of gelt our way.
Yeah.
This
Toss a
holiday
coin
season.
to your podcaster, oh valley.
Yeah, over on patreon.com/allinpodcast, we've got 3 tiers of support and a lot of amazing people that support us there already. Thank you all so much. But it is the holidays, so if you don't have any gelt or coins to toss at us, I do understand. There is a totally free and easy and fast way you can support us, and that's by dropping some words on Apple Podcasts, Podchaser, and Audible, or leaving a 5-star rating on Spotify. Very quick, easy, and free little Christmas/Hanukkah gift you can give us this year. We really appreciate
Tim,
it.
I expect everybody in your family to drop a 5-star review in the next 5 minutes. Make it happen.
That's right. Make it happen.
No, but genuinely from the bottom of our hearts, thank you guys so much for hanging out with us each and every week. Whether you are patrons, whether or not you just consume our content in any way, shape, or form, whether you've dropped some words, however you've been able to share what we do here at All In with, the people in your life, the people that you love. Just honestly, thank you and namaste.
Namaste. That's the news, everybody.
Merry Christmas, everybody.
Woohoo. Merry Christmas. We're gonna...
I've had an itchy nose. How about you, man?
An itchy nose?
Yeah,
I don't have an itchy nose. No itchy nose over here.
It's not like chili itchy either. It's just...
I was saving this last piece of gelt that I have for that little gelt bit. And now it's melted. Now it's the gelt has melted.
It's gelted.
Yeah, it's gelted and melted. Anyway. That's been the news, everybody. Like the stream before you head out. We super appreciate that. That like and the subscribe really helps us out. We appreciate it. Yeah, we'll be back here next week. Next week will be our final episode of the year. We'll see.
Bring it in 2023.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see how big of a news roundup next week is. I don't really expect a whole heck of a lot, but look, I'm still holding out for GoldenEye. We'll see.
That was honestly newsworthy, the fact that it didn't release this week.
We'll see. We'll see what happens. I'm holding out. Come on, GoldenEye. Come on. We'll see.
We'll see what happens. But thank you guys for joining us once again. Have a great and fantastic holiday, however you choose to spend it.
Yes, do that. Also, be sure to check out the podcast. The podcast goes live tomorrow. This is but a taste of the full podcast that we do every single week. There are links in the video description down below to check out the podcast if you're not already subscribed on your podcast service of choice. We drop every Saturday. We're going to do this week on the show, in addition to what you just heard, the top 5 snowmen in Nintendo history.
That was fun.
That was fun. An indie showcase on It Takes Two, kind of the post-mortem after Eric and I played through the entire thing here on the YouTube channel, so check that out. And kind of a look at this weird little Nintendo Flash game called Mission in Snowdrift Land that you might not have ever heard of before.
Yeah.
So
got a
good
special
episode.
Christmas presentation.
Yes, good episode. So until then, guys, we love you very much.